Next, we have treated use water from industry consumer perspective. Mr. Karan Shetty, Secretary, CREDAI Bengaluru, will be doing a presentation.
Everybody, my name is Karan. I'm from RG Builders, and I'm also serving as the Secretary of CREDAI Bengaluru. Yes, there are certain things we can live with and certain things we can live without. But of course, water as an essential commodity in construction is next to impossible. So I'm here just to share quick snippets in terms of what are the challenges CREDAI and the entire builder community are facing today in the terms of crisis, and what are the steps and the corrective steps we have taken so far. So I'd like to begin with the first slide. So construction is, one of the most important sectors and one of the sectors which consume the maximum water, and more the water, more construction can be done, right? So about 60 to 20% of today's water globally is being used by the construction industry, and whether we've done it carefully or carelessly, this is something we've really never looked at. But the technology, the methodologies in terms of curing, waterproofing requires us to use this much amount of water. Of course, currently India is, growing at a very fast sector. We have all kinds of, sectors like commercial, industrial, residential, which requires a lot of water from land stage, from to the handover stage. So the key thing, what we feel is that, water can be conserved and better planned at the design stage, like a few of you all have already presented. So at the design of the project, managing water is very, very key. And we believe there's a certain hierarchy which we feel we can, assess and control the usage of water. The first key element is, of course, eliminating the requirement of water by using, new sorts of waterproofing compounds in curing, rather than utilizing of, a continuous flow of water. That's something we should probably be looking at, and primarily, working along with, people like y'all and seeing how we can work with neighboring properties also to eliminate the current usage of water as much as possible. Of course, alternative water use is the second most important thing. First is eliminate. So alternative water use is something which everyone's been discussing, and I don't think I need to highlight because everyone's already spoken enough on that. Then there is reduction, reuse. So reuse is a very, very important thing which a lot of our project managers need to sort of look into. Like if you're using some sort of water for curing your swimming pool, the same water should be, reused in a certain in a particular way. Recycle, yes. I mean, if there is a phase 1 and a phase 2 in a project, we could probably use a recycled water of phase 1. But recycling water from inception becomes a bit of a challenge. And then, of course, disposal of water, which is the most important thing, which a lot of us face when we build IT parks and residential projects. We have a lot of, treated water being thrown out at the drain. So effective uses, policies, strict policies helps us, charge. So we should probably use this time to sort of have effective policies on disposable mainly. Yes, we are all not new to this. That's why we all are here. Current water crisis in Bangalore. So it's a 40-60 ratio. 40% is the Bangalore bore wells. We come from a city of lakes, but of course, there are certain pockets which have water and some where the bore wells all have dried up. 60% of the Kaveri water has been used by all industries. But of course, I mean, we've also ran a few tests and seen that a lot of times even the Kaveri water is not as good as the groundwater, the subsoil water, what we get. But it's a huge mind block to sort of get people to utilize it. So it's a lot of exposure, adaptation, which is one of the key things as developers we face. So as CREDAI, we've already taken a few steps of using treated water by mainly utilizing treated water in BWSB STPs closer to the project. So our key thing is, of course, the main cost is the transportation. So we wouldn't want it going beyond 5 kilometers and trying to keep it as closer as possible. So there are a few projects already utilizing, and there are a few more as well where people are using. So yes, everything looks good on paper. Everything is, looks very interesting. There are a lot of people passionate about saving water, but on the ground, in the construction business, where we have to deal with quality control, where we market to a lot of customers that we are doing this and showing a lot of quality in our product, a lot of times we don't get consistency in the treated water, right? So keeping the IS standards in mind, whether the chlorides, the sulfates, all these, and the pH levels, they all have to sort of be very, very consistent. So how do we achieve that? I mean, we are happy to work along with all the stakeholders in achieving that. So that becomes consistent, and that's something we should not be monitoring or, trying to keep it as consistent as possible is the key thing. So curing becomes a big challenge because if the pH levels and all don't match, it becomes a huge quality issue across. So this is something we need to this is one of the key things, just not disposing it out as is. So yeah, I mean, I've already mentioned the challenges. So these are a few key challenges what we are facing at this point. One is, of course, the distance from the treated water plants to the specific locations, and primarily the distance. And of course, piping is not possible with BWS, but if the authority decides, there is always a way, and we are always willing to help and come forward. And the other thing is, because of today's, water crisis and the whole water supply mafia, the limited availability of tankers across all projects. There are times when we either buy it or rent it out for a couple of months, as we're doing till May, and seeing the current water crisis. So yeah, this is primarily the main issues what we as developers are facing. Yeah, so this concises most of our presentation. Any other questions, feel free to ask.
Sir, what's the possibility that the first infrastructure construction begins along with some tanker? It is an STP, and all the labor force of that project, their sewage and their waste gets treated within the property and gets used as treated water. Because today, real problem, whenever a project is happening, all around the project there is open defecation, there is sewage on the ground, all issues are around new construction. So if construction can take up this responsibility, it will help the environment and it will also help maybe save some cost of your treated water.
It definitely it's a very good idea. That those thoughts have already come to us. But one is, of course, is our client adaptability. Even the laborers today are not the most easiest people. In fact, they are the most fussiest people. Our clients probably will use treated water, but the laborers won't. We've even seen cases where they don't even want to use borewell water in some cases. But yes, there is a possibility. We need to understand the costs of implementing it, and
Also do think about nature, the ecology, the surrounding environment, people living around new projects.
yeah. So generating water is one aspect, but the main thing is, if we generate excess also, sometimes we might have excess. We can't use it for curing. It's only for labor driven. So we just need to understand whether those investments work, or we can use treated water plants from existing projects in the neighborhood. So that, I feel, is a faster go-to. Like currently there are a lot of, there's Whitefield Rising, there's Brookfield Association, a lot of people, we are already in works with in most of our projects. And the community itself is so, established and knowledgeable. So there's a lot of water sharing happening already. So I think it has to start at a community level rather than, put it, and, that sort of ecosystem has to come from the authority or like a policy between all of us. You'd like to add something, Bhaskar, sir?
Actually, in many cases, the construction workers do not stay at the site in larger projects. They stay outside. So there is a mandatory requirement that we set up the facility along with the requisite STP and things like that, and it is taken care. And majority of us, we do not do contract, we hire contractors, and the labors are coming from them. The entire thing is set up, the infrastructure is set up by them, and it is not in the site, project site. We do not take that notice. So it is outside, they rent it out and they do it. and there are regular inspection from all the departments concerned, and they take care. As a developer, we can only say that please follow the labor norms. Okay, we do not take care.
Contractor will have those norms.
Yes.
They will have them.
Yes.
He's
He's a direct.
His point is, can he influence or do something?
We are doing it actually. It's a long process now. It just probably will be taking a lot of attention. So this is what I just wanted to.
I also want to add to what they said. In one of our large projects, we have set up an eco-STP. So in one of our large projects, we have set up a eco-STP. So eco-STP, if you're not familiar, it doesn't use any moving parts. So like SBR and all that, there is no moving parts, there's no pumps, there's no, it's almost like how the digestive system works. How the digestive system works in a cattle is the same way. That's the genesis of this whole thing. So we have set up that, and we use that water for various construction activities, not for concrete at the moment, because it is treated water. We need tertiary treatment water for construction. And we have already started using that, and what Karan also mentioned, we've used that for RMC as well, as long as the parameters of chlorides and sulfates are within the IS 456 standard. So we are with the entire, I know development comes at a cost, but we are with the whole thing that it has to be, we need to use treated used water. So that's, it's a fine balance we have to strike.
Major thing I'm surprised to see that actually majority of the people here, I mean RWA, when they came initially, they came as a home buyer. Today, I mean, I'm just seeing, I'm observing your knowledge level is much superior than mine on this aspect. So, I mean, all of you are commendable. There is a lot of, scope for us to collaborate and be a advisory, kind of a committee to the policymakers when it comes to this fact. Because the kind of hands-on, like I was quite impressed with your data, like whatever you did. Now, as per the Jal Act, TUWs and Mr. Nelson, he was also mentioning, there is a big scope, but it all depends on how we can collaborate. And always the policymakers call you separately, call me separately, call somebody else separately. The moment we all go together, that was the entire idea of BAF trying to go together on the policymakers, so that they do not, the communication is same. Yeah.
I have a question for the CREDAI people here. This gentleman was saying, why aren't new apartment complexes built with water meters? Whatever it costs, why doesn't, I mean, every cost gets passed on to the home buyer anyway. So why can't this be made mandatory and put along with it? Similarly, the aerators. Why should high flow plumbing, why should the appliances, why should the taps and everything not come with the aerators when an apartment is sold? Why should it not be the norm?
In today's context, majority of the CREDAI developers, larger high-rise, we are installing the water meter. Every home buyer is very much well aware. And today, majority of them, just tell you, trust me, because there are, like for example, I'm telling you, there is a 3 BHK with 2 people residing. There is a 2 BHK, there are 5 people residing. The 2 BHK people, the water consumption is much higher than the 3 BHK. So today, fair apportionment. Yeah. Today in Bangalore, the home buyer, trust me, is quite wise and knowledgeable. So they are asking, and majority of us have come out with that policy as a policy from CREDAI, that our high-rise apartments are coming out with meters.
No, I just want to add, from a brigade perspective, all our apartments come with water meter. In fact, one of the, we have an incubator and an accelerator program. We've accelerated a company called VGOT. We've, there's some equity participation by brigade in that company. That company, that does CREDAI monitoring, and it actually has about 8 solenoid valves and meters for each apartment. So it's one in each bathroom shaft, kitchen shaft. So it's pay as you go, because right now it's under common area maintenance. Right now in most of the apartments right now, even our older apartments, it's under common area maintenance. Now we have installed this. When you start paying for it, you kind of start conserving. It's a human tendency. So it pays back in a very quick time frame. So we've adopted this, and we've also adopted this triple line plumbing, which actually, just the infrastructure is already set up. So the newer ones, definitely we have this already implemented.
Really good presentation. I think you've summarized all of the challenges that, even research groups have assumed that would come up. But I had a question, because you talked about consistency of water quality being really important. How frequently are tests being done when treated water is being used on site? Are both tests being done, the ISO 456 and the KSPCB standards? Yeah, that's the question I have.
So I mean, to answer your question, the tests are not very regular. Because what happens is, see what Sir also rightly said, we don't know where the water is coming from, right? So of course, currently because of these crises, now we've started getting into the whole depth of it, trying to re-implement, because there is no choice. We have to start using treated water. There's no excuse even for developers like us. So we'd like to sort of make that a standardization thing for maybe the BWSB tanker, where the IS levels are this. So we don't have to run more tests. So going forward, I think tests will be mandatory, but when we run tests, probably it'll be like how we do RMC tests with your cubes. We probably do it with every 10 loads, we probably test one, something like that on those lines. But yeah, I think going forward, it'll be a lot more consistent. But from the source, if we have at a policy level, maintain the same IS level, it'll help across. Because I'm sure what can be used for construction can be used for other items. Construction is the last water, I'm guessing, but it should fit in for curing specifically.
Is there any model where, as builders, you're considering taking over the STP for the duration of the sale? Because in the room here, there are amazing RWAs, but this is the creamy layer of what's happening in the city. So there are lots of people who might not have the same knowledge and also interest in running the STP to the extent that it gives tertiary treated water. But is that a model that's been considered where builders actually take over the operation of the STP for the duration of construction?
So STPs during the duration of construction is what you said?
So if you're buying from one source, if you're buying from one apartment,
Okay.
like say we're buying from South City, which has a lot of excess water. In this case, there's a very proactive RWA. But supposing the RWA says we cannot assure quality, and then you have the problem of inconsistent water. But as builders, you do have the capacity to actually, you work with so many different vendors across different streams. You have the capacity to actually get one of your STP designers or operators to actually operate that system for the duration for which you're buying the water. That way you get more ownership over the water that's actually coming to you.
That's a very good possibility. One is, of course, there are a lot of private players who have come in who are already builders who are actually coming into developments and saying we will invest in building the STP. They're coming and telling the developer, you don't put in any money. That's one option. So I'm guessing that's a good start. So we've already signed an MOU, last year. That's one. Second is, of course, we try and encourage as many developers to be part of an organization like a CREDAI, because there's a lot of, connect. Of course, we compete in the morning with each other, but we have that brotherhood and unity in terms of, so that we're keeping that ecosystem, we probably can. And then, of course, if you're taking it from a particular developer or a particular RWA, that particular builder and their association have to be like-minded. And I think in Bangalore, as Sir rightly pointed out, the RWAs are very well aware of things, and we ourselves are learning from them. So there's a lot coming in. So I'm sure they themselves will be more proactive on giving out the water, because in most of our projects, the water has been thrown out. At one point, we had the policymaker asking us to evaporate the water from, the excess water out and not throwing it in the sewage. So things like that are impractical. So can be done. It's called WeGot, I think. WeGot.
It's called WeGot, WEGOT.
No, there's some issue with the management. No, but just to answer her point, I think it would be at least in the development of this space, it would be a bad idea to get the developer back into a building that they've already sold. I think we have to build capacity at the RWA level, and I think that's the best way to go forward. That is number one. Secondly, business, CREDAI developers are businessmen. It has to make sense economically to do this. And it will be taking them away from their primary business, which is to build. So ideally, you want an intermediary to come in, and I think his earlier point of having somebody come in and say they will install and operate it for a lifeline, I think that's what you guys have done with Ramki and all.
But that's what I was saying too. You get a service contract model. The builder themselves doesn't operate
See, but
it.
service can come from experts, you know. Like tomorrow, Professor Rajgopalan can start a company. And
Yeah,
it's a great startup.
very passionate. Yeah.
No, but I'm just... No, I'm just saying, I think the idea is to build, the RWA is responsible, the owners are responsible, so they have to figure this way out. The developers, having installed it, can help, but I think bringing them back to operate is a bad idea. And because you don't know, right? I mean, they may just say, look, this is all crap, we need to put more cost. So then the owners will object.
No, I meant that they put up the cost for operation during the time of sale, because the barrier now for sale, because the rate, for example, BWSSB is willing to buy treated wastewater for 8 rupees per kiloliter. But that water is still not going to be at the level that you needed for construction unless they retrofit the systems.
Yeah, no, I understand the use case. I'm only saying that I think we need the development of an intermediary.
I completely advocate for the intermediary. I'm saying the intermediary should be paid by the builder. That's the only thing I'm saying.
Of course, they are paying for the water, right? They'll be buying the water.
This is a third party what you are asking. Trust me, designing and implementing of STP is a pure science, but not running. Running is an art.
But it's
STP
still
running, no. STP running, trust me,
Yeah.
STP running is an art. Like rightly mentioned, I mean, you know, there is so much of ground experience which is required.
correct.
Now, the vertical pipeline, what he was referring to, how much ever you study and come out, I mean, that plumber with so many years of experience, he could advise him. The STPs, whatever you guys are running, basically, I mean, it's like, you know, I'm used to, you know, handling a brand new car. What you are asking is, you know, running a, or, you know, operating a second-hand car now, driving me a second-hand car. Those are two different things. Like rightly mentioned by Professor, now this is not, I mean, it becomes a backward integration. Now for me, I'm willing to contribute. I'm willing to contribute to the nature and to the cause. I can come in and introduce or make sure there is a right set of people who are getting in and coming and, you know, getting involved, and the desired goal is met. But I cannot be doing that. I am also, today when we were selling home, I was just telling, I mean, when we sold home, I was the seller and all of you were the purchaser. Today when it treated water, I am the purchaser, you are all the sellers. Okay, so the entire hat had changed. So, I mean, I am buying water from you guys. You are
Take some revenge.
No, that is of the past. Now, that is what I was telling you. The home buyer, he comes out from the era of frustration. That entire home buying process used to be of frustration. Today, trust me, the home buyers are a confident lot. And tomorrow, it is going to be a celebration process. People are going to celebrate the home buying process. Because the trust today, among the top developers, anybody going in is buying the home confidently. Okay, because that trust is built up, but not across everybody. But that will happen over a period of time. We cannot expect everything to happen overnight.
So if I understand this correctly, you feel the RWA is... Sorry.
No, I'll take... No, I'll take a last update, what Shreya was coming to. See, now I have a suggestion, like while new building comes up, you are putting a wave bridge, you're putting a, what you call, RMC plant. Why can't you put a STP? So that when the building is come up, you know to install, you can install the entire process itself. No, the STP water they are going to give. No, treated water, BWSP is going to give now, right? Yeah. But you cannot store it for more than 3 days or something like that, right?
There's no better lot than you people. You have so much of experience.
Okay, yeah, we'll have to
We'll
limit
wind
here.
up. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Karan.